Hello and welcome. It is 11:48 p.m. Eastern Time on that of the 6th day of February 2021. So basically the 7th day. All bets, trades, and within the like, that's each his own risk and their own reward. Start this off within silver, and I never ever trade any kind of what they call the paper game. I like to call it the digital game, the trading game of the markets and stuff. Because if I was playing that game, what would be the difference of like silver, gold, and stock A, stock B, this ETF long, this ETF short, so on and so forth? Because it's all just a vehicle to move funds back and forth, with of course the intent of, well, if you're in a fund situation on accounts of withdrawing your currency and doing whatever else is you're doing with it. For me, I have silver 40 ounces that will be delivered to me on Tuesday, although I might have to actually go to the post office on Wednesday and pick it up, and it's all great. As well, what happened a few years ago, I ended up actually giving an ounce of silver to the postwoman who was awesome delivering it, but then she ended up, she quit. And someone else has done it, and not as, I mean, the service is still good, at least within them. I'm not getting my silver through Canada Post because I've had problems with a couple other delivery agencies. But having the physical silver is something that's phenomenal. There's so many people that are going to be, I think, regretting not getting this because of the obvious situations of the fiat currency. This was an interesting week, to say the least. We look at price action. I mean, just in here, yada, 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 but yada, yada ending on July of 2019. As in that point, it's breaking out above the 18 average of highs to 19 and change. And at that, it was like, okay, whatever, but can it make something of that move? Because it's not like it hasn't been to this 19-ish or so level before in the past. Well, it did in 2014. It almost did in those years before, and well, there was support in like 2014, 15 and all that stuff. So we had a long ways to go and everything. Oh, but then we had this big move that broke below the support, which is obviously fine. I mean, can it hold this must hold? It didn't hold the must hold area, but I guess it didn't must if you think of it that way, because it turned out to be one heck of a big failed breakdown. Because after it went below the 18 average of lows, going below all those previous lowest areas, it comes to the 18 average band and spends a few weeks in there. But when it leaves it, oh my goodness, what a move. As the big, I mean, I'll start pretty much in here to a degree. I mean, yeah, the big moves like July and whatever, but you've seen this thing go from like 17 all the way up to 30. And now what's it done since then? And what an amazing settling that it's done. A lot of periods, a lot of this time, an attempt to break out at the winter solstice. But it was unable to do anything major. It actually barely broke above it on this January 4th period, but it did stay above the 18 average of lows. It did stay above this key Fibonacci point, and it did make a higher low to these three most previous lows, ranging between 22 and 3/4 down to that of 21 and 3/4. It has also gotten above these highs that it had in here. And even technically, it got above this high, albeit barely. It's pulled back now to the this is where it came from and all these key spots. So that's a big thing. Now that it's had this move, the statement's been made. It's either the start of the next big rally that's going to break resistance to big points, or it's a failed breakdown that will most likely pierce below like 20. Either or situation. And given the situation, Wall Street bets and everything that's going on, they're trying to drive this thing up. And people realize, of course, the fiat currency situation more and more. And the reason why I think gold, silver, bitcoins, and all these things are going to be just doing fantastic and have been doing fantastic in the year 2021. So amongst the daily term, we can see a nice little comeback to where we came from. If we can start this week off, and this thing rallies right off the bat, you see it 27.5, 27.60 up to 28. Or just most likely you would see a breeze. Once it gets to 27.5, it would probably breeze to north of 28 pretty fast. I would be expecting it to keep going at this pace. If they were seeing a setup like this with the higher lows that they were seeing that we could make like a support line, resistance line, make a new high above this, and breaking this level of resistance. Again, nice little weekly term time frame. And on the monthly chart, just, yeah, I'd be thinking like nicely into the 30s could be occurring. Like, and days and days and days and days would not be that big of a surprise. And then we'll switch it to that of Bitcoin. Now, anybody who has made the decision in the past that they wanted to accumulate gold and or silver, but they wanted to do a strategic play and play the cryptocurrency game one way or another, and many ways of those has probably done them or you well. Thus, in a situation where you could be seeing silver prices and gold prices going up even just little bits, and that's probably what it's going to be. And like, okay, yeah, it's cheaper because you bought Bitcoin when you bought this other coin then. Your crypto portfolio is X amount higher from when you got in. And then you can go to places, for myself, I go to silvergoldbull.ca. I live in Canada. And APMEX, I know they accept cryptocurrencies. Gold Silver, which is Mike Maloney, they accept cryptocurrencies. So many, almost all of them these days pretty much, are going to accept your Bitcoin or other alternate currencies as well. I'll be really happy when I see you can accept Theta on market to buy everyday things and stuff like that. But Bitcoin prices are looking very, very phenomenal. I love how it's breaking above the 18 average of highs after what has been a magnificent correctionary phase. On the 4-hour term time frame, I mean, it pretty much came. I mean, I wish I wouldn't glitter like that. I suppose I just go like that. But we had this level of resistance. It's pretty much there, a match of that level. And after that, it had a huge dip from this point. Now, when you have moves like that, it's usually the bigger ones, especially when you come up big like you are, they're going to go down faster at a larger rate of descent as future moves within the range usually would. So we had to move down to this low, move down here, and even another. This is a big one in here, the one that happened on January 26th, 27th. Because this is a spot where after the second hit low, it didn't manage to do much within this rally, making a most certain lower high resisting, yes, where it previously supported. And then you can see it starting to break down. So this is a very bearish setup. But what does a bearish setup do? Remember to adjust the message to the market because, well, it looked like things were probably going to break down here. And I remember breaking down, shorting this bull market is just could be a lot of times a fool's game, or at least a hedging game at least. Hedging, of course. I mean, I'm doing a lot of hedging right now in fantasy sports, at least because I've been unlucky in hockey, and my hedging account's going much higher. Anyway, that's another story. Anyway, with that being said, why would you short? I don't know. Those are the reasons I guess you would. But with that being said, what happens is you come up and you have this big move. Now, there's a statement as I've been mentioning. This is a huge statement. This tells me that this is, again, either the start of a big move or a failed breakout. So how does it correct within it? Well, how's this? When we stay within this, a little bit of a chance to break down and a little bit of a chance to break out. But this little bit of a chance to break out is doing damn good so far. And we're supporting right now on this, right in here. So as it goes, this was a kilo. This is a kilo on the way. If it does have any move in here, so be it. That would just be a higher low. But this thing is in a very solid uptrend, telling me the probability of things moving very nicely for a bullish perspective going forward is fantastic. And I want to finish this off within Theta and strategy that I have to do. So we have Theta coming in at that of $2.17. And I like Bitcoin coming up to the previous high pretty much. And there we have this low, this low, this low. And right now, we got this low at 216. So the most previous one is 185. And this little area here, well, we came down to this low on the 19-hour stamp on February 5th. And this rally has been underwhelming. Now it's breaking down below. This is telling me that's probably maybe going to go down a bit more. But the next leg lower should still make a higher low here. Doesn't mean it will. And even if it doesn't, that doesn't mean it's all going to break down. It's just the end of the world or anything. But the setup on the daily term time frame still looks magnificent. This is a huge attempt to break out. It's a buying situation as far as I'm concerned oftentimes. And this selling, this should not be a at least not yet, a reason to be concerned that this thing is over-exhausted its rally, and we're going to do a correctionary move, meaning break down below, talk about this high to whichever lows, and talk about correcting down to $1.28, buck, and all that type of stuff. There are going to be good corrections to come, but is it going to be now, or is it going to be in the future after this price has gone much higher? I think it's going to be the second. Of course, time will only tell. We do have this rising 18. It hasn't touched it since it lifted off since the start of February, so if it does come down to it, area I'd be looking at for support as well. But when this thing goes off, and this thing has just been, it's still doing what it's been doing for 5 periods in a row, just doing this little sideways stuff after 3 magnificent weeks in a row, as it was up 25%, and then it did better, doing 48% and 57%, and it's just been nothing really since. It closed that week at $2.13, so it's up about 4 cents, or about almost 2, like 1.7%. Yeah, just sideways hanging in there. And that in itself is amazing. And just the fact that it didn't even have to pull back. We haven't came down to 80 cents or any of this 57, 80 cents to where we came from. I'd like to see it like, maybe we come back to $3 or $4 maybe is when that's the situation. Because I look at it for me from this perspective in here. It's had a great run. And then a lot of people, myself, and I'm sure a lot of you are in buying it under 13 cents. Buying it at a dime or 8 cents. But a lot of people are in around a dime back in the day. And Bitcoin, same thing in the Satoshi, 1100 Satoshi, 1200, 1400, those old days, cheap prices. You're just doing fantastic right now. And I'm trading this back and forth against other coins. And in turn, I don't have as many as I used to before because of such, but I have a lot more of those other coins. And as this thing goes up to about 3, I'm going to continue, of course, doing what I'm doing. But what I'm probably going to do is consider selling a small amount against the dollar, but I realize more importantly that if this were to get close to like 8, 9, 10, I would look to see how much my Theta's worth, all my other cryptos, they probably go up as well within it, and my gold and silver. And right now, silver is noticeably my number one asset, and I want to keep it that way for quite some time. So I'd have to be in a situation, do I turn Theta into silver? And when my Theta is noticeably more, and already, no, it's not. It's already, well, it's noticeably more than my other cryptos. But when it would be noticeably worth more than silver at that point. So I'd probably have to take some of it and turn it into silver. That's been the plan for me within cryptocurrencies the entire time. And let's go back to the Bitcoin chart, because going back to the time frame, and that's the reason why. And I mean, it's a chart that looks just fantastic right now, of course, on the monthly term time frame. But the time frame, I'll go the weekly time frame to do this, that I want to go through is back in here in 2016, as I remember just reading on silvergoldbull.ca on the bottom of their page. Well, you see the Bitcoin logo, and that's something they accepted. So I realized if there's ever a day, and I was very anti-Bitcoin, pretty much calling it a shitcoin for quite some time. And then, well, this happened as well too. But I realized if I ever get it, well, I can always turn it into such. And even if you're anti-Bitcoin, it's a protection hedge. And if you like it on a short-term trade level, you can trade it, move it, hold it in your private wallets, and then when the time is right, you can turn portions of it as you need be into things like, of course, precious metals and other things. You can use it as what it's designed to be, that of money. You want to buy whatever items within it. People accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever else it is. There you go. But what I was impressed with was how it was able to just make these little small, like hold these moves in the small low volatility like it was doing at this stage in here. And then within this rally in here, it held it fantastic. And I was starting to get really, this is in the period here as it was breaking it, as I was getting really serious into the idea, into that of Bitcoin. And then, of course, just, it's worked out. Let's just put it that way. It's worked out very, very well. As far as how much silver I own, well, but from back in here, I own about more than 5 times more than I had before. And I'd like to have 5 times more than I have now. And if cryptocurrencies have some phenomenal moves, then there's a good chance that that's going to be the case. Because Bitcoin, I think, is ultimately going to control, at least right now in the short run, until these cryptocurrencies slow down a bit. And Bitcoin has a bit. And I think this will happen, gold and silver just go haywire volatility. And I think will happen because silver's been manipulated, I think, for all I know. But I'll say I think, or it seems to be, for quite some time and quite decently. And that's a big reason why the price, as I bring the silver chart back up, is below its previous all-time highs. So there's going to come a time where like free market is really, and price discovery, I feel is going to really show some enormous, amazing things. And a lot of the people that heard some things that I've talked about but didn't quite make the decisions to buy the physical metal, I think they're going to really regret that. And those that decided, yeah, I think I will, are going to probably be very thankful that they did. And again, holding all of the asset classes, I think, is important right now. I'm very anti-fiat currency, but it's something we need to have in this world to buy things with every day. So having some currency in the bank, having some currency in paper rectangles, not a bad idea. Having some cryptocurrencies, different forms on your own private keys, that's fine. How much do I have on exchanges right now for cryptocurrencies? I got 0.9 something Bitcoin Cash. You know, I deposited some, and then Bitcoin Cash went down a bit. Theta went up a bit, and I'm just still waiting for better prices because I want to turn Bitcoin Cash into Theta. But once I can, I'll turn that Bitcoin Cash, sell in the market, buy Theta, withdrawal to my Theta wallet, and then we will have a zero balance, or pretty much like $3 or whatever, $4 on the exchange. I like it that way. Keep my funds on the exchange, keep my gold and silver in my safes in different areas here and there. Like you can just have different cool areas of like just every day, like up in your kitchen cupboards and wherever it is. It just, you look at somewhere, there is just no reason why anyone would even consider to look there. So let's put a few ounces of silver there. Yeah, that's as far as burying silver underground. No, not really my style. However, you can bury cryptocurrency private keys underground. I don't know if there's any type of metal detector. I know it's metal detectors. I don't know if there's private key detectors. But having your private keys protected in safes in different areas, multiple different areas, I think is good ideas as well. So, what else do we have? Really, nothing more. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.